You're more than you know. You're more than these physical bodies. Do you know that? You don't usually know that so much. Most of you are so busy looking at your physicality that you don't realize the vibrational basis that is you. But the vibrational basis of you is so significant, not only because it is the continuity or the continuum of that which you are, but you were source energy before you came into this body and still are. And that source energy part of you is still a vibrating aspect of you that law of attraction is responding to. Have you heard about law of attraction? Do you understand that you get what you think about, whether you want it or not? That law of attraction is responding to the vibration that you are emitting. So your mood really matters, because your mood indicates your emitting, and your emitting indicates what comes back. Everything is about that. But something you may have forgotten that we are always wanting to remind you of is that you have a source energy part of you that is emitting also. And that source energy part of you who is emitting and receiving and emitting and receiving is solid and happy and progressive and eternal and attached to you in more ways than we can find words to describe. And in fact, the existence of that non-physical part of you and that point of attraction that that non-physical part of you is experiencing is the reason that you ever feel the emotions that you feel. When you in your physical body are approaching a subject, the subject that is in your current now, and you are approaching it in the same way that your inner being is approaching it, ooh, that's when you feel bliss or eagerness. That's when you feel love and appreciation. That means you are on the same vibrational wavelength. But if your inner being is looking at what you're looking at differently than you're looking at it, for example, if you're really mad at someone and your inner being never is, then the negative emotion that you feel is your indicator that there are some conflicting vibrations going on. And that in fact is what resistance is. And you are the only one who can introduce resistance into your experience. And when you introduce resistance into your experience, you slow down who you are and what you want. It really is as simple as that. So the short version of this explanation of you, the creator of your own experience, is get happy and stay there, and good things will come to you. We've enjoyed this interaction immensely. Go forth and ponder and practice. So when you realize that you can tell in every moment what you're doing, then you can begin to shift your vibration just a little bit. You know how when you're driving down the road, you drive? Esther loves driving. You're driving down the road, and a lot of momentum has happened before this moment. In other words, the roadways have been paved usually, and there are lanes that are defined usually, and you have an efficient machine that you are driving usually. So as you're moving down the road, if you begin to drift off into the grass, usually you do something about correcting that. And the more alert you are, the more effective, efficient you are at it. So when you drive, you usually stay in your lane, don't you? And you usually don't drive over the top of the car in front of you. You usually don't try to occupy the same space with another vehicle at the same time. You've learned some of it, but you intuitively know how to place yourself as you're moving along. The other morning, Esther awakened. Well, we should tell you what happened before that. She went to sleep before she awakened. We should tell you what happened before she went to sleep. She watched television. Dun, dun, dun. She was watching something to do with the political stuff. And then she thought, I can't take it anymore. And she turned it off. And she went to sleep in resistance, yes? But while she slept, her vibration cleared. That's what always happens. And then when she awakened, she was still in that clear place for a minute. And then she received a sort of disturbing phone call. about something not very important, but important enough. Dun, dun, dun. And then she thought, ooh, this is the beginning of a new day. I'm going to take care of this right now. In other words, like correcting your driving, not off in the grass. So she brushed her teeth and sat to meditate. Meditated for 15 minutes. Came back into that clear space and stayed there for a little while until she checked her email. Dun, dun, dun. And then she says, oh no, not this. I'm going to focus with clarity. Now what we're getting at is, this is not so different than driving down the road, is it? In other words, you do something about it, because if you're driving down the road and you're not watching what you're doing and you end up off in the grass and you don't do something about bringing yourself back into your lane, and now something more happens and something more happens and something more happens and something more happens, you could bring yourself to a lot of trouble. Momentum sort of happens that way, doesn't it? Here's another way of looking at it. If you're driving across a big wide roadway in a very effective car and there's not much going on around you, you could be a little lackadaisical, sloppy in your driving just a little bit, couldn't you? Ever drive with your knees? Ever change places with someone else while you're driving? Sometimes you feel comfortable, and so you don't feel like you need to be so attentive to what's happening, because there isn't some momentum that's going to be to your disadvantage. But what if you're driving on a mountain road and there are sharp drop-offs? Don't you pay more attention to what you're doing? Are not some roads you drive on a little riskier than others? And some subjects you think about are a little riskier than others. Now, we're not saying avoid the subjects that might take you off in the grass. We're not saying that. We're saying when you're approaching those subjects, be clear about who you are. Because it's not what you do so much in a correcting sense that matters vibrationally. It's the preparation you have made in advance. It's how ready you are. It's how much you care about being in alignment. That really is the secret to the success of manage your own vibration. Do you acknowledge that you are the creator of your own reality? Have you come that far? And do you understand that law of attraction abounds and is responding to your output all of the time? And do you understand that what comes back to you is because of the output? In other words, what you're broadcasting and what you're receiving are the same thing. So it matters what you think, doesn't it? It matters a lot. Do you find yourself sometimes being a reactor to what's going on in your experience? It's interesting, isn't it, to be living in a world with so many others who are creating their own reality, because it is not the easiest thing to navigate in all of that vibrational current and maintain your own frequency unless you've practiced it a bit. And that's really what we're talking about in all of the hours that we are together with all of you. Many of you are here at your first seminar, but you are not new to these ideas. And it is our expectation that as we move forward together today, that the things that you will talk about, that you're wondering about, and the things that we have to say about it, and the things that others in the room will think about it as we're having the conversation, is going to move this conversation of personal creation into a whole new place of understanding for you. The most important thing that we want you to understand, and it's easier at sometimes to accept this than others, is that things are always working out for you. And the reason that we know that to be true is because we know who you are. We know who you were before you came into these bodies, and we know who this life has caused you to become. We see the vibrational version of you, the vibrational version that life has caused you to be, the vibrational version that you are now because you want to feel good, meaning to live up to. That's the part of you that we know best. But it does not mean that we are not aware and lovingly aware of where you stand in relationship to that evolved and expanded being. And if there is anything that we wish to convey to you in a way that you can really understand it, it's that you came into this body with great reason and purpose. And that purpose was for this joyful expansion. And that if in your physical body, right here and now, you're not allowing yourself to be that vibrational being that life has caused you to become, then you are less happy than you want to be. You are meant to feel exhilaration. You are meant to feel love. You are meant to feel passion. You are meant to be excited about life. You are meant to attract wonderful things and experiences and others into your life experience. Life is supposed to feel good to you. That was your plan. And if it isn't feeling good to you, just not now or maybe often, then something is amiss in your vibration. And we know for sure that it's a simple misunderstanding on your part. We know that you have diverged from the understanding of worthiness about yourself. And so that is our reason for playing with you in this way. We want to help you to feel who you really are. And we want you to stop beating up on yourself for anything that you have not yet figured out how to allow into your experience. So, what do you want to talk about? You've come with some things, we see. Going to have a really wonderful day. If you are not immediately or in this day called to dialogue with us, don't worry, because we've got you. We know what you want, and we know what the best unfolding will be to accomplish an explanation for you. So let's just have some fun together in the continuation of what we all are.
Don't forget to leave a positive message and subscribe.